Chapter 1. The Gom-Chimpanzee War. Under the dense forest canopy of Gom National Park, Tanzania, where sunlight barely dared to filter through the thick leaves, a brutal story quietly unfolded between 1974 and 1978. It wasn't a human war with guns and smoke, but a fierce storm among the rulers of the forest, the chimpanzees. This conflict, recorded in history as the Gom-Chimpanzee War, was a bloody tragedy between two groups, Chicxulub in the north and Kahama in the south, where brotherly bonds once strong were torn apart by claws and ambition. It all began like a slow crack in a large rock. Between 1971 and 1978, the once mighty chimpanzee community, which had lived harmoniously in Gom, gradually disintegrated, like an ancient kingdom divided by winds of discord. No one knows exactly when the flames of conflict began smoldering. Perhaps it was from envious glances, growls over territory, or simply primal instincts awakening within each beast. Whatever the reason, the result was an irreparable division. Chicxulub occupied the northern lands, while Kahama retreated to the south, carrying fragile hopes of peace. But peace, it turned out, was a short-lived dream. Chicxulub, with superior strength and numbers, gave no peace to their former kin. Like an army of shadows, they silently advanced into Kahama territory, carrying not only sharp claws but also cruelty honed by strategy. The attacks were not bursts of rage, but calculated moves, like chess pieces moving on the deep forest board. One day, as the first light of dawn touched the treetops, Chicxulub began the slaughter. One by one, the adult Kahama males fell, their screams mingling with the wind, like a torn funeral dirge. Some females were killed mercilessly, while others were kidnapped, dragged into the shadow of a new fate. In the end, Kahama completely disintegrated, like a village consumed by the flames of war, leaving no trace. Chicxulub stood on the ashes of their enemies, proclaiming victory with echoing roars throughout the valley. But the price of that glory was not small. The blood of their own kind had stained the forest red, and the bonds that once united the two groups were now just distant memories. For the scientists, quietly observing from afar, this war was a wordless shock. For the first time, they witnessed chimpanzees, creatures considered close to humans, not only killing but organizing warfare. It wasn't mere survival instinct. It was intentional violence, guided by strategy and hatred. Gom, once a green paradise, had become an arena where intelligent beasts displayed their darkest side. The Gom-Chimpanzee War is not just a sad chapter in natural history. It is a reflecting mirror, forcing humans to look at themselves, creatures who have also stained the planet with blood and dust. Beneath the ancient trees, where the wind still whispers old stories, Chicxulub and Kahama left a lesson: even in the world of the wild, war remains a monster that never sleeps. Chapter 2. The complex behavior of chimpanzees. In the dense kingdom of the tropical forests, where light and shadow play tag among the leaves, chimpanzees are not just survivors relying on claws and strength. They are strategists, quiet politicians, and creative artisans, weaving a complex social tapestry far beyond the imagination of anyone who ever thought them mere wild animals. Beneath the ancient trees, every day unfolds like a drama full of suspense, where instinct blends with intelligence, and life is not just a struggle for survival but also the art of calculation. Chimpanzees don't act like machines driven by hunger or fear. They think, they plan, and sometimes, they dream. When a chimpanzee picks up a dry branch, it doesn't just see a piece of lifeless wood. In its sharp mind, that branch transforms into a spear, a weapon to pierce the thick hide of prey. When it picks up a small, slender twig, it doesn't just dig for roots but unearths a hidden treasure trove deep within the forest floor. Tools, in the hands of chimpanzees, are not just objects, they are symbols of intelligence. Like the first fires lit by human ancestors in dark caves. But the talent of chimpanzees doesn't stop at toolmaking. Their society is a living chessboard, where each individual plays a role. From the alpha male on his throne to the silent courtiers behind him, their hierarchical system is solid as mountain rock, yet flexible as a winding river through the valleys. An alpha male doesn't hold his position by muscle alone, he must skillfully build alliances, dispensing favors by sharing fresh meat or a cool patch of shade. Those lower in rank lie in wait, watching for a chance to overthrow the throne, their eyes glittering like hidden stars in the dark night. Communication among them is a wordless symphony, so rich and subtle it sometimes makes human language seem crude. A gentle pat on the shoulder can be a word of comfort between two who have shared much. A resounding roar is a warning, like thunder before a storm rolling across the sky. And then, with just a curl of the lip or a fleeting glance, they convey messages without sound, like breezes carrying secrets among the leaves. Their facial expressions, from a wide grin to a skeptical frown, are a mirror reflecting the complex soul hidden beneath the thick fur. Chimpanzees don't just live. They exist in a world where every action is a move, every relationship an invisible thread, and every day a new chapter in the book of life. They are hunters. But also diplomats, they are warriors. But also friends. Beneath the deep green forest canopy, where bird songs mix with guttural growls. Their society is a reflection of humanity, imperfect, yet vibrant and wondrous. And in every beat of that wild heart, chimpanzees remind us that intelligence is not an exclusive privilege, but a flame burning bright in every creature that dares to dream beyond itself. Chapter 3. Evolution and Similarity to Humans. Beneath the vast expanse of time, where cosmic dust once swirled to create life, humans and chimpanzees emerged from a common ancient origin. About 7 million years ago. Like two river branches splitting from a great current, these close relatives diverged on the evolutionary path. Each carrying traces of their common ancestor. A faded but still vibrant painting in every detail. Though separated by millions of years, their likenesses remain deeply imprinted in behavior, cognition, and the mysterious folds of the brain. Like two different books written with the same pen. Back then, when Earth was young and vast forests stretched like endless green carpets, the common ancestor of humans and chimpanzees sparked the first glimmers of intelligence. Scientists, like Alfred Russel Wallace and Charles Darwin, travelers of knowledge, followed the footprints of the past to tell this story. They painted a picture of natural selection. An invisible but harsh hand, shaping each generation through the fire and wind of time. The brain, like a fragile sprout, gradually grew into a large canopy, carrying the capacity for thought, imagination, and even the scheming we see clearly today in both chimpanzees and humans. That journey was not a straight line, but a bumpy road full of twists and turns. Ancient fossils, like Sahelanthropus, from 7 million years ago, a faint face from the shadows of time, whispered of the first steps. Then came Australopithecus. Those who stood upright on still trembling legs, lifting their heads to the sky as if to challenge fate. With hands freed, they began to grasp and create, turning broken branches into tools not just for survival, but to shape the world around them. Those were the first bricks on the long path leading to cognition, where intelligence was no longer a fleeting flash, but an enduring flame. Looking at chimpanzees today, it's like looking through a misty mirror, reflecting ourselves in our early, wild days. They growl, form alliances, and use twigs with skill rivaling that of ancient human ancestors. Their brains, though smaller, are still wondrous mazes, where simple thoughts intertwine with sharp instincts. The brain anatomy of both species, like two houses built from the same blueprint, reveals similar rooms where emotions surge, memories rest, and will ignites. But this similarity isn't just about the body. It's evidence of a shared journey, where humans and chimpanzees, though diverged, still carry the breath of our ancestors, those who once walked the sun-scorched savanna, climbed towering trees, and dreamed of a distant tomorrow. Through millions of years. As the wind of time blows across fossil fields and deep forests, the story of evolution still echoes. We are not solitary figures at the summit, but branches reaching up from the same root, forever bound by the invisible thread of life. Chapter 4. The Development of the Brain. Under changing skies over millions of years, where dense tropical forests gradually gave way to savanna grassland stretching golden and endless, the primate brain quietly grew like an ancient tree seeking light amid a storm. Size alone does not define intelligence, just as a large stone isn't necessarily as valuable as a small, brilliant gem. Rather, it's the complex mazes hidden within. The folds and mysterious pathways transformed the brain into a guiding lighthouse for life in a harsh world. Long ago, when Earth still sang the songs of the deep forest, the ancestors of chimpanzees and humans lived in nature's green cradle. But then, like a scene change in a play, forests shrank, giving way to vast grasslands, where wind blew ceaselessly and the sun burned relentlessly without mercy. That change wasn't just a passing breeze, it was the sharp blade of the environment, forcing creatures accustomed to climbing trees to step onto the ground, facing a new horizon. In that struggle for survival, the brain was no longer a simple gift of nature, it became a weapon. A compass, a record book logging all the world's secrets. Brain size, though increasing over time, isn't the whole story. Just as a house isn't beautiful just for its height but for how its rooms are arranged, primate intelligence lies in the intricate structure within. Brain regions expanded for memory, thought, and imagination. When food sources were no longer hanging from branches but scattered across the grasslands, the brain had to create mental maps, like an artist meticulously sketching every line of an unfamiliar land. Where is the cool stream? Where is the bush hiding sweet fruit? These questions required not just muscle power, but the ability to retain memories, like gems stored in the treasure chest of the mind. And then, when problems arose, faster prey, lurking predators, the brain stretched itself once more. It wasn't just remembering, but problem-solving. Like a chess player seeking the next move in a tense game. From choosing the shortest path to avoid danger to figuring out how to use a stone to crack a hard nut, each challenge was a passing wind, honing intelligence into a sharper blade. The savanna environment, with its harshness, wasn't an enemy but a strict teacher, forcing primates to adapt or disappear in the flow of time. Under the scorching sunlight of the savanna, where sparse tree shade met an endless horizon, the brains of our ancestors grew, not just in size, but in their capacity to dream, create, and overcome. It is a flame ignited by the first sparks of consciousness, burning through millions of years to illuminate the path of evolution. And in every fold of that brain, from chimpanzee to human, is the story of life, not just existing, but rising, like resilient blades of grass pushing through dry earth to reach the sun. Chapter 5. Primate Society and Lessons for Humans. Beneath dense forest canopies and sprawling savannas, where light and shadow intertwine like threads of fate, primate society emerges like a multicolored mirror, reflecting both gentle light and deep shadows. While chimps weave a different story. They live in peace, like a symphony needing no war drums, where gender is not a dividing line and violence is just a passing breeze, rare and alien. Muriki society is a rare picture of tranquility. Males and females share space, food, and even tenderness, like companions on life's long road. There is no throne to fight for, no rulers or ruled. All are equal, like drops of water in the same river. Violence, the kind that stained the Gom forest red, seems to find no foothold among them. Instead, Murikis choose to embrace each other, share sweet fruits, and sing together the melodies of kinship under the green canopy. It's a world that humans, with all their fire and smoke, can only dream of in fleeting moments. But when our gaze turns back to chimpanzees, those closest to humans on the evolutionary family tree, we see a different picture, both familiar and frightening. They share fresh meat with allies, like diplomats dispensing favors to consolidate power. They scheme, form alliances, and sometimes, kill with the coldness of a strategist on a chessboard. The war at Gom isn't just a chimpanzee story. It's a mirror reflecting the wild part within humans themselves, where kindness and cruelty coexist, like light and shadow on a harsh sunny day. Looking at chimpanzee behavior, humans can't help but wonder, have we truly stepped far from the shadow of our ancestors? Wars, political machinations, and moments of humane sharing, all appear in human society, like repeating notes from an ancient score. Chimpanzees kill their own kind with strategy, and humans build empires on the ashes of others. Chimpanzees connect through pats on the shoulder, and humans find solace in the arms of friends. This similarity is not just coincidence. It's a reminder that, though we stand tall on two legs and reach for the stars, we still carry the breath of the deep forest within us. Murikis and chimpanzees, like two sides of a coin, pose a great question for humanity: who do we want to become? Gentle beings like the Muriki, living in equality and peace, or warriors like the Gom chimpanzees, leaving trails of blood and dust? Primate society isn't just a story about creatures under the trees, it's an open book, inviting humans to look within. And in every page of that book, from the growl to the gentle embrace, is the lesson that the wild part is not something to overcome, but something to understand, like a fire that can both warm and consume everything. Chapter 6. Scientific Discovery and New Understanding. Under the dim light of the Gom forests, where the wind mingled with the growls of chimpanzees, a group of people quietly entered. Not to conquer, but to listen. They were scientists, seekers of truth amid the wild shadows, led by names like Jane Goodall and Franz de Waal. With curious eyes and patient hearts, they lifted the veil of mystery surrounding chimpanzees, shattering old notions that they were mere machines living by instinct, no more than unthinking beasts driven by hunger and fear. Jane Goodall, like a storyteller standing amidst the deep forest, spent decades observing every gesture, every glance of these hairy creatures. She didn't just see them eat, sleep, or climb. She saw them think, feel, and sometimes scheme like strategists in the shadows. From the twigs used to dig for food to the gentle embraces between mother and child, Goodall painted a vivid picture. Chimpanzees don't just exist, they live with a rich inner world, like underground rivers flowing beneath dry earth. Franz de Waal, with his sharp pen and keen mind, continued that journey, exploring how chimpanzees build alliances, share resources, and even express jealousy, pieces of a complex society rivaling that of humans. But the light of knowledge is not always gentle. When the Gom-chimpanzee war broke out between 1974 and 1978, it was like a lightning bolt tearing through the peaceful sky of science. Kasakala and Kahama, two groups once like brothers, lunged at each other with claws and teeth, leaving the forest stained red with the blood of their own kind. Initially, this story sparked fierce controversy. Many refused to believe that chimpanzees, creatures so close to humans, could kill intentionally, organize war with cold strategy. It was a stone thrown into the still pond of thought, raising waves of doubt and opposition. However, time and subsequent research clarified the truth. Like archaeologists digging deep into the earth to find traces of the past, scientists continued to observe, record, and analyze. They discovered that violence was not an exception, but a natural part of chimpanzee society, like periodic storms sweeping the savanna. Clashes didn't only happen at Gom, in other forests. Chimpanzees also displayed calculated aggression, defending territory and eliminating rivals with a ruthlessness rivaling human warriors. The Gom War, it turned out, was not a strange stain, but a mirror reflecting a deep aspect of primate nature, a nature that humans also carry within them, though sometimes hidden beneath the cloak of civilization. These discoveries didn't just open new doors for science, they are an invitation for humans to look directly at themselves. Jane Goodall, Franz de Waal, and countless other researchers gave humanity a book, not just to read and put away, but to ponder. Chimpanzees, with all their intelligence, emotion, and darkness, are distant relatives, reminding us that the line between wildness and civilization is thinner than we think. In every growl and pat on the shoulder lies the story of a shared origin, where new knowledge not only clarifies the past but also lights a torch for the future, a future where humans must learn to live with the beast within their own souls.